Alright, so a nifty thing you can do when you're recording MIDI into Pro Tools is you can quantize it while you're recording it. So instead of recording the piece and then it sounding kind of off, going into quantize and selecting the clip and then hitting quantize and all that, which you can easily do by going to event operations, quantize. But instead what we're going to do is we're going to quantize it while we're playing it. You want to make sure only to do this if you really do want to quantize what you're playing, because you can't go back to the unquantized version after you've recorded it quantized. So just be aware of that. So let's create a stereo instrument track, which we will then put the mini grand on it. So let's call it mini grand. Double click the track name here to name it. And on the inserts, which if you can't see them, you click this box and there you go, inserts A through E, and I have the IO selected and track color. We're going to put on the inserts a mini grand, which mini grand comes with Pro Tools. You have to download the instrument download installation from Avid to get them, but mini grand is one of the instruments that does come with Avid. Let me just make sure it's working. Okay, so go ahead and put a compressor on there real quick, and raise the gain up a little bit, maybe compress it a little more. Okay, cool. And now to do input quantizing, we go to event operations, and input quantize. It's as easy as that, and then you click enable quantize. Now I typically have no on and no off selected, because no off is basically when you let off the keyboard. That's when the note will change. Say if you have it selected to quarter notes and you have no off not selected, whenever you lift up from the note, it'll stop. So if you're a little less than a quarter note, a little more than a quarter note, it'll lift off when you lift off. If you do no off as well, that means that if you let off right before the quarter note, it'll extend it to the quarter note, or if you let off right after the quarter note, it'll retract it back to the quarter note. So I like to quantize it so both the start of the note and the end of note are quantized. Other than that, I mean, there are some other things you can mess with, but let's go ahead and record something real quick. I'll just go ahead and record a chord progression. I want to make sure to have a click track, so I'll create a click track. I'll drag that up to the top here, and there we go, and we're at 120, so let's try it. Okay, so let's take a look at what it did. As you can see, all the notes are quantized. Now, if you look at that, let's make the grid look like quarter notes. Is that right? Yeah. Is it on quarter notes? Oh, we're looking at minutes and seconds. That's why I was like, what's going on here? So we click bars and beats up there. Okay, so we play the first one. See, all that's perfectly quantized. The notes are a little skinny, so I'm going to make them a little larger by clicking this note button there, and I'll drag the track a little bigger so we can see the notes. In case you're wondering, the lighter shaded notes are the velocities. So I hit these two kind of hard, hit these kind of soft. So if you click that arrow, you can see the actual velocities of the notes and what it recorded. But yeah, it pretty much quantized. As you can see, on this one I let off before the measure was over because I needed to prepare to hit the next chords, so it quantized it to the nearest quarter note. You can easily extend it. Doing that, make sure you're in grid mode so that your cursor will lock to the grid. And there you go, I've extended it. I'll extend this one to the measure, and this one too out here, the scraggler. And let's take a listen. Okay, great. Now, say you didn't like those velocities, but you wanted to bring them all up at the same average. You just select everything, and then you can drag them up. So as you can see, it's keeping the same relationship between the dynamics and hardness of each hit in relation to each other hit, but the whole thing overall went up, and now you can listen, it's going to sound different. And you can see that the notes are darker because they're harder hit. And if I wanted to, I could go in here to change velocity, select these guys, and then I could just say, like, you know, set all to 127, and boom, they're all just super hard. So yeah, that's input quantize in a nutshell. I'm going to bring the velocities back down to what I originally played by hitting Z twice to undo. But that's input quantize. I use that all the time when I'm composing music. All right, thanks.